Well, once again, I want to thank you very much for being with me on my daily dose. And I hadn't been with you in nearly 3 weeks, and I make very little apology for that. And that's because I had the great chance to go out and visit my donor's family in Muskogee, Oklahoma. We had a wonderful time, got to meet the mother of the donor, also his sisters and their families, husbands and children and grandchildren, even some great grandchildren were there. And I pray that as God would allow us over the next few years, we'd be able to spend more and more time with them, going out and visiting, telephone calls and such. We consider them family, likewise they do us, and we're so thankful for the gift that they offer. Now, just in behind that, we came back about 10.5 hour drive. That's how long it took us. We had a lot to get straightened up around here as far as cleaning up after Christmas, putting away the Christmas tree, unpacking, such as that. You know how that goes. Bounced right on into the Glencoe Church of Christ on the Lord's Day, last Lord's Day. Was able to preach there. Those wonderful brethren, of course, had an outstanding time with them as always. If you're ever in the Gadsden area, I pray that you go by and visit with them. Her preacher, Jimmy Simmons, does an outstanding job proclaiming the gospel in full truth. Also, her elders oversee that congregation in a great way. They stand in leadership. They stand for the truth. And so I pray that you'll continue to do that. And then also the members of that congregation, wonderful, wonderful people. They love one another. I promise if you go by and visit, they'll likewise love you. Also had the chance to go into Pulaski, Tennessee last week. My good friend Cliff Goodwin, of course, another preacher at the Ironton Church of Christ, and he does 2 television programs that we tape there monthly. They show about 8 times a month, twice a week, and so he was able to go up and do that, and thankful for that. I also had the opportunity myself to be offered a segment on Barry Gilrich's program, Fabric of the Family. So grateful for that. It'll be Family Fortunes of Faith, and so if you want to learn more about that, you can go to the Family Fortunes of Faith Facebook page. You can find them. You can learn more and more about that. I pray that you will. Also, by the way, if you want to hear about my trip to Oklahoma, you can go to my website of truthbetold.org, click on the Daily Dose tab there, and up near the right hand of the page, you're going to find a link that is an audio link to me retelling the account there. It's something about the story of visiting with a donor, something like that. I forget how I titled that, but nonetheless, you can hear that. And I pray that you will when you have a chance. Now, also, in addition to that, I've got several opportunities ahead of me as far as gospel meetings this year. Going to be a very busy year. I'm thankful for that. I pray to God every day that I'll be able to continue to have the strength to do those things, and that I'll be able to proclaim His word in spirit and in truth likewise. Now, as far as spiritual things go, we want to focus our attention this morning on one passage. It's found in 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5, and it basically says this: examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Now, certainly when you were in school, you had exams, whether it be science or history or math or such as that. You had many exams that you had to have. Oftentimes, those exams took place toward the end of the week, maybe on Fridays, and it's probably something you didn't look forward to. But you know, every time you took an exam, it was a measuring bar, if you will, to see just how far you had gone, to see the areas in which you needed to work and the areas which you might back off a little bit so you could focus on something else. You know, that's how it is. Much more important than any physical exam or any emotional exams, we ought to take a spiritual exam, as Paul called for right there in that text. We ought to examine ourselves to see if we be in the faith. Now, to be in the faith is equal to obeying God, obeying the gospel, and being a part of the church, the only one that Jesus built. So I pray today that as you examine your life, if you find yourself to be anything but in the faith, which would mean that you're outside of it, that you'll make your way into it. Through your study of God's Word, through examining it, you can then turn and examine yourselves. Now, if you have any questions about that, concerning salvation especially, I also encourage you to go to my website at truthbetold.org, click on the Contact tab, and you can ask me any questions you'd like to pertaining to spiritual things, and I'll do my best to answer that from God's Word in a timely manner. Again, this has been your Daily Dose, and I pray that you'll be encouraged.